Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. I'm going to be playing some more Magic Arena today, obviously. Today we're going to take a little break from playing the Sultai field deck that we've been playing in Historic, and I'm going to load up an old favorite deck of mine. I played it for a couple seasons when it was a little popular, and even after it stopped being as good, just because it's a really fun deck. Loading it up here. It's the Quasi duplicate Oracle list Oracle deck. Originally I was going to put Oracle in here to help out with my win conditions. That way if something went wrong I had one, but usually the 3 Jaces works pretty well. Otherwise we just run over the opponent. So if you've been watching Magic or playing Magic or checking out Arena for a while, the deck probably looks pretty familiar. There's a few people that were playing it a few seasons ago. Basic idea of the deck is that almost all the cards we play are elementals. So we build around Risen Reef, we dump a bunch of cheap, efficient elementals on board. We have Quasi duplicate to help out with that. So the idea is you want to turn 2 Leafkin Druid or Paradise Druid. Paradise Druid's better against decks with removal. Then we want to go into Risen Reef, plop a land down, and then just start dumping on elementals to keep triggering lands entering the battlefield. We have payouts with that with Omnath, getting the +1 counter on your elementals, making them bigger so you can be offensive or defensive as needed. Also starts drawing us cards later in the game to help us get advantage. Jace is our big win condition here. We can mill ourselves incredibly fast, so the idea is to get Jace out and win on the spot by milling ourselves and putting all of our lands on the battlefield as fast as possible. We have Tameo as an insurance policy to get Jace back, as well as helping us mill our graveyard faster, finding the things that we need to win the game, as well as filling up the graveyard for Uro. Cavalier of Thorns is a big piece of the deck, not only being an elemental and a 5/6 with reach, so it's a perfect defensive creature. It avoids things like Storm's Wrath. It has value when it dies, which is also great. It puts a land onto the battlefield generally, as long as you don't whiff. The important thing to note is Cavalier can put lands on the battlefield untapped, whereas Risen Wraith, they have to come in tapped. So there are often times where if you haven't played a land on the turn and you hit one with a Risen Reef, it's better to put it in your hand so you can put it onto the battlefield untapped if needed, so it gives you more casting options. Chandra, Awakened Inferno is a way for us to finish the game. It can't be countered, which is great. The -3 hits everything except for our creatures, so it's very good against those smaller aggro decks. And then her -X also allows us to kill a larger creature or planeswalker if necessary. We have a variety of lands here. Temple of Mystery, Scryland. Other than that, most of these are all shock lands that we can just throw in untapped. The Triome is a new addition as those came out, since they hit all the mana colors that we need them to. On the sideboard, we have an additional Healer Glade. These comes in against the aggressive decks. Aether Gust are fantastic against not only like ramp decks, so we can push back their cultivates, things like that. It's also really good against any sort of like goblins if I played in Historic. But overall, it's just a good card. Disdainful Stroke and Negate are in here for more of the control matchups. Kind of help us protect our win conditions if need be, or at least get the opponent off of doing what they're trying to do. Maybe such as like an Ugin or something that can help us lose the game. Return to Nature. The sideboard is actually largely unchanged. I haven't messed with it since I used to play it, but Return to Nature is still good in here. People are playing Lucky Clover decks now, so this is a nice cheap way to deal with their clovers. Mystical Dispute, extra counter magic in here. Whirlwind Denial is good for against Krasis. It just completely shuts that down. It's also good for in like a historic sense, like an Ulamog or anything like that. It's pretty solid. Flame Sweep again, aggressive decks. Ashak helps us mill ourselves faster while keeping the opponent's graveyard empty, so if they have any graveyard trickery, this card works both in our favor for us and against the opponent. So just a quick breakdown of the deck overall. It's a lot of fun. Played a few games with it the other day, and I think won like 3 or 4 and lost 1. So not too bad. Not saying the deck is top tier or anything, but it is fun to play, and it can win just by initiating its game plan and not stopping while creating a massive board for you to do whatever you like. So that being said, we're going to get into some games here. Okay, let's see what our first opponent has for us. These are not hands we keep. We can keep this hand. I'm going to go ahead and put a Chandra back. I'm going to do a Triome into Steam Vents into the Leafkin Druid. Probably going to have to restart my client as it's being a little laggy. Good thing we put Chandra back because we got another one. And I haven't really been paying much attention to Standard, so I don't know exactly all what's going on in Standard right now. Let's do that for some extra padding. Sometimes you just want to hold on to those, that way when you hit like a Risen Reef you can pop off for 1 mana and potentially get an extra land. They're playing a blink deck here, so we might be in some trouble. If we don't have answers is the big thing about the deck. We don't have ways to interact with the opponent at all. We just care about executing our game plan as fast as possible. Alright, and we have an Uro in the yard, which is fine. So next turn we're going to Risen Reef, and then we're going to Quasi duplicate the Cavalier of Thorns. That way we get another trigger, hopefully get a couple more lands. We could also just Chandra on our turn, depending what they do. The idea of playing Chandra and then just plussing her is not a bad idea at all either. It's just residual damage that the opponent has to find a way through. So I really thought the opponent was going to scry there. Let's see if they spend their mana to tap. No. Again, not playing Standard, I don't know, maybe they played like Seal Away or something like that. Nope. Okay, good to know. Now our Leafkin Druid taps for 2 now, which is great. We didn't play a land this turn, I don't think, so we're going to decline that. Because I think we can Quasi duplicate again with that floating mana. Okay, so we have all the lands we need. We have pretty close to lethal on board, depending what the opponent does here. So we're gonna go ahead and swing in with these guys. So we're down to 30 cards. It's not too bad. Alright, opponent scoops. Nice. Alright, game 2. Yeah, everything that we're doing is pretty good here. Dispute's not even bad against them. Omna's alright. Truth is, we could bring in... we could probably bring in like a Mystical Dispute. We could also bring in like a Disdainful Stroke, but I'm not too concerned about that. Overall, our game plan seems pretty effective. We don't need Healer of the Glade necessarily. But like Dispute and a Stroke should be fine. Try this out. Like I said, I'm not too concerned about much else. I also don't know the the sideboard and things well enough of whatever matchups that I'm up against. I'm just kind of going into this blind with the deck and having fun with it. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, we excuse me. We keep these hands. We lean on the Paradise Druid here. That way, if we are ever playing against an opponent, excuse me, with removal, the hexproof will get us around that at least. So worst thing you do is play a ramp creature and it gets destroyed, and then you're just kind of out. But so next turn we Triome plus Risen Reef. They may have a counter spell here. If they do, they do. I mean, you're countering. Unless they're going to do this. I don't think they run counter magic. I could be wrong. I'm just, anytime I see blue and white, I'm used to counter magic happening. Yeah, we take those. Again, regardless what the land says, it always comes in tapped with him. That seems rude. We're gonna mine it. Alright, yeah. He's good. Okay, so sometimes you just win games like that. Chandra's apparently good enough to just win you the game by casting on turn 3. Alright, game 1 successful. This is a load right back into another one. Alright, right back into things. It's a little slower than I like. We're on the draw, so we can kind of keep it. But either way, I'm not satisfied with the hand. just gonna put back Crisis. We want these lands. We want to dump lands out as much as possible here. Okay, so that was a good draw. Alright, so we didn't get any lands, which is unfortunate, so we didn't get to ramp up for cheap. But we'll be able to Risen Reef, get the double trigger off Reef. This will tap for 2. So then we'll have enough mana to cast an Uro. So they can tap us down with Giant, or no they can't. Yeah they can, they can tap us down with Giant Killer here, which seems appropriate. We're going to go ahead and block the 4/4 to slow down some of the damage. Alright, so it's going to hurt. We're going to shock ourselves. We only have 1 blue source. Alright, we got ourselves some blockers here. They're going to be able to tap down both the 5/6s. We can just trade the 0/3 for the 5/5, or put the 0/3 in front of the 5/5. And that's game. Alright. Probably cut down on the Jaces, the Tamios here. I think I want Flame Sweep and Scorching Dragonfire. I also think we can get rid of a Druid and probably bring in the other healer. Return to Nature is not bad since they're playing Conclave of the Tribunal. We could bring in Return to Nature to deal with that. But it's really not like the big threat that I'm worried about. I think the rest of what I'm doing is fine to not worry about that as much. They might get like a Cavalier or something, but the idea is that we're ramping up so much faster to like these larger threats that it shouldn't be an issue. So we're going to run it like this. We're just going to go into it and check it out. Yes, we take the play. We do not keep these hands. We do keep these hands. Oh, we're going to go ahead and put back Cavalier here. We should be able to hit Omnath pretty quickly. If I do Healer plus Risen Reef, probably. I'll probably save it. We'll just do a Fable Passage, and we'll grab a Forest. Typically in this deck you want as many islands as possible. Didn't hit a land, that's unfortunate. That would have allowed us to Cavalier next turn. Not worried about attacking. I could attack for one, he's probably not going to block since he's got the 5/5 out there, but you know, something like that happens. Didn't have to shock that in. I was going to play Omnath and then I actually reconsidered. I can take out the Loxodon. So you may have another Lovestruck Beast to activate with a 1/1. Alright, so I probably lose here. He's got a Conclave and goes ahead and takes out the Cavalier Thorn. I mean, I have to block. There's not much. There's not much me coming back from that situation given the board state. I mean, even if I rip like a Chandra or something like that, it gets rid of two of his, three of his tokens. It's still left with a 5/4 on board. It's not over, but it still doesn't feel very good. Alright, so we're just done here. We could have played it out a little bit, but I mean, I essentially have to trade my board away, and then I'm just playing 1-for-1 creatures at that point, so there's not much I can do there. This came out fast, and got the win. Alright, hopefully game 3 goes the same way game 1 did. Alright, it doesn't have ramp, but it's decent. We have an Uro. We can hopefully find something here. We don't need a Jace right now. It's actually when we need Jace is like the last card in the deck. So, bottoming one of the three is not the worst thing. We're probably playing some sort of flash deck. This is going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. Just going to throw this out. Okay, yep, there's a Spectral. So don't know how this matchup's going to go for us. I assume that since we play a lot of blue, that most things that we have is probably going to get countered, or they're going to be playing in instant speed around it. Shocked with Authority. Either getting Thought Erasured or they have something. I don't really know what's going on in this crazy world. Let's go ahead and drop this. Throw it on Uro. I want to get cards in there for Uro as much as possible. So I want to go ahead and do a Fabled Passage.
Check.
We're going to go ahead and throw him down really quick. Figured that was going to happen. I slowly find that they're killing things, it just fills up our graveyard a little bit faster for Uro. Probably should have blocked, actually. I would have put the Leafkin Druid in the yard for that guy. But instead I did not. Yep, seems good. It's really cool artwork on that too. I haven't seen that. Opponent might have another counter spell here. They do not. Pay 2 in case they have a quench. They may just have a hard counter. If we get that Chandra, we can just go ahead and wipe the board. Minus our guys. So I assume that Tamio is going to get all the attention that she doesn't deserve on their next attack here. So if I do lose Tamio, I'm going to block with a Healer or Glade. That way the graveyard's full enough for Uro again, and hopefully we can draw into something else. They said all we really need is like a Chandra, specifically because it can't be countered. So Chandra will do just nicely. Unfortunately, put that back in my hand. So this individual is just going to be able to draw infinite cards. That's game. Maybe cut all the Jaces here. Probably a Tamio. Dispute's good against them. Dragonfire, Flame Sweep will all be good. I think that probably about does it for the sideboard. The Healer Glade's okay. It's not great, but it's not bad. I could bring in the Negate Being that they're playing some counter magic, it was just kind of a waste, I think. But I don't know. I think that we'll just try something like this. It's probably not optimal, but it's fine. Alright, we keep these. I might just shock myself for the dispute. Not that it's like crazy necessary, but it's helpful. Broadcast that I have a mystical dispute. Okay. He played a tap land, so I kind of got bone there. So happens when you get greedy. Okay, so we're gonna have plenty of mana available to us. It's the nice thing about the Leafkin Druid being able to tap for 2. Wow, can hose on lands here. They might have a counter spell, which is fine. They don't. That's fine. So depending what opponent does here, we're just going to go ahead and drop the Risen Reef followed by the Healer Glade. Maybe the opponent's drawn into a counter spell. Opponent may have more removal. I mean, they're drawing, 2 cards a turn at least, maybe 3. My guess is that they have to find some answers throughout that. Alright, so the plan next turn is just to get a big crisis. Yep, maybe they can just win this turn. Yep. Maybe. Yep. Damn. Alright. Well, those are some good games. Clearly, the deck struggles in some standard matchups here. It's going to happen. I haven't tweaked the deck literally at all besides the triomes since it started. But yeah, there you have it. The deck's overall pretty fun. Maybe not the best showcase of the deck, but I'll make some more videos on it, and you'll see it's got some good matchups that it wins fairly regularly at. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the deck, and hopefully you enjoy the videos. If you have any suggestions or ideas, I'm always open to check out new decks or try new things. Feel free to drop a comment, let me know. We'll see you guys later.